We survived the hurricane.
Thankfully. We were in a very lucky area.
Yes. I think is a hard topic to touch on because there's people that died from it and their whole house is destroyed.
Mm-hmm.
But the weather and meteorologist people are so frustrating with it.
Yeah, we have differencing of opinions on this a little bit.
Yeah.
Just, I think they do make it so drama, and all the news is so drama. So, like, well, why would we think when a storm comes, they're going to not be drama?
True. Yeah. You
But,
just would think the weather would be more data and, just like clear about stuff. But they're still, like you said, they're doing what a news anchor does with all the stories. They just dramatize everything and make it so crazy. And for the people who are affected, it is that dramatic. But they were saying the whole state of Florida is going to be flooded and crazy and everybody needs to worry and all this stuff. And where we're at, it's like none of that stuff happened. And, all of our family and people are messaging us and it's like, because they care, because they're hearing.
Because they're scared.
Because they're scared and they're seeing all that stuff to where, we
look outside.
We look outside and there's nothing. We're talking to people that live here and, going to work and talking to them and they're like, yeah, we're not worried about it. It's not coming that close to us. And like, the storm surge is not going to bother us and all this kind of stuff. So it's like, we're getting all this kind of fear mongering on the news and the weather. And then I'm just trying to ignore that and see literally where is it going? What's happening? Are we going to be affected? And it's like, even where we're at, they're saying, we're on the lower end, but they're like, but you still need to like we had an evacuation order to get out. And it's like, well, we already went through one with Ian that hit closer than this one was going to. And we weren't affected by that one at all. And then they're still saying like, you got to evacuate, you got to get out, you got to do this. And it's like, well, that one wasn't even as bad, or that one was closer and wasn't bad. So this one's farther away, so it shouldn't be as bad. And then we have our family messaging us because they care. But it's like, again, they're just hearing all these people like, you got to get out. Everybody's going to die. It's like, well, yes, the people that didn't get out where it hit, that sucks and they should have. And like, we feel bad about that. But you're putting everybody in this freaked out state when you don't have to. And it's like, we've lived here for 2 years and I already feel like I have enough data to know when we should stay and when we should go. How do these meteorologists not know? It's like we had an evacuation order in our area. It's like, okay, for the people that live really close to the beach and are by canals and rivers and stuff where that storm surge is going to come up and affect people. Yeah, I get those people need to get out.
Which it did.
Yeah, which it did. Yes.
I mean, like a mile. What do you think that road is? A mile down from us? Mile and a half down from us? They were flooded.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's like here.
But here,
a mile down.
Right.
Nothing.
Yeah.
I think I'll say this and then I'll play devil's advocate to myself. I think the reason that they are drama and they are pushing the fear is because they know a lot of people like they need that in order to listen, period. To where, say with Ian, there was a bunch of people that stayed and we only have so many first responders to be able to handle the situation that it's those stubborn people that are like, well, it's not going to be that bad. And then they stay. And then the first chance or the first sign of something being wrong, that's when they need to be rescued. It's like they even said that on the news the last time when we had Ian, where they're like, you are putting other people at risk and in danger because you won't leave, because now you are going to expect those people that are here to come and save you because you didn't leave. So he was pretty much like, if you stay, expect to be on your own. Because our firefighters need to be working on these things over here and getting people out and getting like the nursing homes like that they can't leave and things that are a little bit top priority. You just being stubborn and sticking in your house, now you're taking away resources from the people that couldn't leave or that are unable to leave, that they have no family, they're in a nursing home, and we're trying to figure out where all these old people are going to go, that now you're taking those resources. But to be devil's advocate to myself, then you also have like the girl at the coffee shop where she's like, this is my first hurricane. And now she's hearing on the news, it's going to be terrible. You're going to die. You're going to drown. Everything's going to be terrible. And then nothing happens. So then now the next time it comes around and she sees on the news, it's going to be terrible. You're all going to die. You're like, well, boy who cried wolf. Last time it was fine. And maybe this is why people become stubborn and don't do what you've been doing of just, okay, well, it was like this last time. So it's probably going to be like figuring out your own data points, or like our boss, they know they live on a river. With Ian, it came up 10 feet. And that was like right at their house line. It covered their pool, it covered their whole yard, but it didn't get in their house. So now they know when they're expecting a surge to be 14 feet, okay, they know it's going to get in their house. But if it's 10 feet or under, they're like, we'll be fine. We might lose power, but we're not going to be flooded. Yeah. So then you have to use your own data points to know, like, in where I live, what's the chances?
Yeah,
based off of the other ones.
And I think that's exactly the problem. Is they were literally on there saying, if you don't leave, you will die. It's like,
we went on a walk.
Yeah, we went on the walk the morning of the hurricane and the morning after it. And again, it's all because of where we live, even within the place that we are. Like you said, a mile down the road got flooded, but where we're at, we know that it would take, even with Ian, that was like 10 feet of surge, even for our area, and it still didn't affect our place at all. So we would need like probably 15, 20 feet of surge or so much rain beforehand and all this kind of stuff. But it's like, we've, been here 2 years. We've somewhat figured out and been through some hurricanes that we know a little bit of what will affect us, that watching the news or watching the meteorologists go through stuff, like they even charted out for certain areas, not even just the county, but they would zoom in like on where just the city of Naples and where it's likely to get surge and where it's possible to get surge and all that kind of stuff. And it's like, so you have some data of where these places are going to get flooded and that sort of thing, but you're still just putting this fear into people. And they always go, we're not trying to scare you, but you're going to die if you don't leave. It's like, you know what you're doing. And I just think it's like you said with the girl at the coffee shop that you had overheard, like it was her first time and she didn't know what to do. That person is now freaked out, and then nothing happens, and then they go, well, hurricanes don't matter. And now when one's going to actually come right at us, those people aren't going to leave. Or you have the people who have lived here for 20 years and haven't really had one that's come near them. So, and they're maybe just, the news is, they're all fear mongering to this. It's like you have to play both sides. Kind of like what you're saying of being devil's advocate. You have to know your stuff and where you live and all that kind of thing, but then also have the kind of filter through of, okay, they're making this very extreme, and for where we're at, it's not going to be. It's not that a Category 4 hurricane isn't extreme. It is. You look at any videos, or
sure. But you look at Tampa or Sarasota, the videos are terrible.
Yeah.
People are like on the roofs. Things are like, like just like what Ian was. Like things are floating down the street. Yep. Their cars are ruined. Their homes are no longer there.
Yeah. It's terrible. But I just don't get why people can't play both sides or just be more realistic or honest about this stuff.
What I said about the TikTok guy. This video of this guy was like, this just should be the news, because this gives a little bit more of an insight of what you should be preparing for. It was hurricane evacuation notice. And it was a joke, obviously, but hurricane evacuation notice. And he did Tampa. And it was him with an umbrella with a suitcase leaving his home. Fort Myers. Sarasota's first. Yeah. Sarasota, block up your doors with the sandbags. Have nothing so that nothing is flooded.
He might have done this early because it actually hit more Sarasota.
He might have. I didn't
Sarasota, it's like pack your briefcase and get out.
Yeah, I didn't. It was Tampa, pack your bags and get out. Sarasota, put the sandbags by your door. Fort Myers, it was him just putting a board up against his fence so that his fence wouldn't come down. And then if you were in Orlando or anywhere else, he was like inside playing video games.
Yeah.
Like, that should be the, like, advice. Like, if you're in these areas, this is your order of operations. It's not, if you're anywhere in the state of Florida, leave. Or honestly, if you're any on this side, because everyone kind of shifted over to the east side. But it's even that, like, understanding more of your own data points and knowing, okay, well, do I live near a canal? Because people a mile away from us is different.
You should have left. Flooding. Yeah.
I mean, I should have left, but like, you're gonna have flooding. It might not be crazy. Maybe it would be better for you to stay to help get the water out as quicker. But
it's like what we were talking about too, of buying a house. I don't want to buy one on a canal or a river or anything.
I mean, because all of the students in the estates, they're like, we're gonna be fine.
Right.
If you don't have extreme wind or extreme rain where it's going to knock down all the trees, I mean, they're 30 minutes inland. Yeah. But they're like, it's going to be nothing.
Well, and that's what I liked talking to our boss about it, like a day or two before. I'd asked, like, do you think you guys are going to leave? And she was like, I don't think so. And she told us about Ian and what that had happened. And I mentioned something, and she's like, well, actually, the hurricanes, just like, if you're on the north half of it, you're going to get the rain and the wind, like a lot of rain and a lot of wind. But if you're on the south end of it, you're going to get more of the surge and not as much rain, if any. And we didn't get hardly any rain, but then some of the winds, and not aggressively. So it's like, even knowing where the hurricane's going to hit.
Understanding what a hurricane is.
And if you're on the north side, this is what you expect. If you're on the south side, this is what you expect. So like, the people that are in Tampa, where they're not really getting any storm surge, well, if you're on the coast, you maybe don't have to worry about leaving then, because you're not getting the storm surge. Now, it's all general. If you're very close to the eye, you're going to get some storm surge. But if you're way north of it, like for us, we were way south of the eye. And like, we weren't even really in the circle, the cone they always talk about. We weren't even in that circle of it.
Where you take Orlando, which is 2.5 hours inland. Yeah. And they still were getting the rain and the wind. They probably had more of that than we did.
Right. And they probably got some of the eye, or were close to it too. Well, it maybe went a little bit south of them, but like, even at that point, because it's hitting land, it's becoming weaker and weaker. But it's just like knowing where you're at in conjunction to it. And it's all this, like you said, the data point stuff. It's just knowing where you're at and what you've had in the past and what you're dealing with. But I think people just hear hurricane, they're like, and it's going to hit this area, so everybody's got to leave. And it's, well, no, I mean, that's not how it works. And I mean, we had no flooding, we had barely any rain, there was some wind, we didn't even have the power go out. Like, I just think the only thing I'm upset about is just the meteorologists on the news fear-mongering everybody and making everybody scared.
Which then in turn makes them not be prepared, because they're boy who cried wolf.
And they're not reliable then. So right. Now if you're not kind of playing both sides and going like, okay, a hurricane's coming, this could be bad, let's figure out what we need to do. That, I think, is what you should be doing, and looking and watching and seeing where it's going. But then there's people that are like, I've been through 5 hurricanes and nothing's ever happened, so I'm not worried about it. And they just fear monger. And then when one comes through, it's going to be bad. But it's because they're not being as analytical about it as I think they could be. They're just saying, there's a hurricane coming, everybody evacuate and leave. It's going to be terrible. It's like, it is for the people that it's going right at and going to be affected by. But, and there's some understanding too, if people don't understand okay, well, the eye isn't going to hit you, but if you're still within kind of the surrounding area of that eye, it's going to be really bad still. But it was just frustrating, because it's like all week there's just this build and build and build, and the fear mongering and all this kind of stuff. And then we go through it, and it's like, I'm glad that we stayed. We had an idea to go over to Miami to avoid it if it was going to get bad, but the direction and where it was going to hit, and just seeing the radar and seeing like where we were located with where it was going to go through, we weren't in what was going to be the bad parts of it, and we weren't going to get that much storm surge and all that. So I'm glad we stayed. But it was just like, oh, this is why people don't trust anything anymore, because they're just trying to freak everybody out the whole time, get everybody to, and then you have these freaking airlines and hotels that are price gouging people. Like Fort Myers Airport and
that makes me so sad.
And all these other airports were jacking up prices for people trying to get out. And same with hotels in the areas that were going to be safer, jacking up prices of hotels. It's like, how is that, I don't want to say how is that legal, because that maybe is extreme, but it's like, how do you do that?
I know.
It's like, we truly don't care about people then.
No.
It's like, we just care about making a buck and making money.
That's what's sad is the people that, because like we're here talking about like, well, why didn't you leave? Why didn't you leave? There's some people that can't. Like They maybe don't have the money to take their whole family and drive them somewhere, or they can't pay for a hotel. They can't whatever. It's like, yeah. So we're putting people's lives at risk. And I get that there is, okay, well, everyone's flooding to one area and they're going to get booked up. It's like, okay, a whole side of a state, no. Like, I get it if they're all going to one area, but then, okay, open up other things. It's like, it's a one-time deal that we're doing this, that we're having to do this. Like, why can we not work together? Like, that's what I said to our boss. Like, it's just so awesome that she's taking that approach of, we weren't going to get it that bad, but all the kids didn't have school from like Monday till
the whole week.
The whole week, and then they're still going to be off until this upcoming Tuesday. That she's like, I can only imagine with these parents, they're like just going to be inside with them all day. They can't go outside. So the days that it was fine, she opened up the studio all day and just like, let's run classes. I was teaching babies in the one room. Ashley was teaching the little ones in the other room, and then she just opened the back big room and kids were just doing dodgeball the whole day.
That's awesome. Like that's a community, and that's like people being awesome.
Yeah. And she's like, people come in, like, bring your kids. It doesn't matter what class that they're in or what age. Like, just bring them in and let's get them moving and get them out of the house before it gets crazy.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah.
That's what's so weird about the hurricanes too, is there's so much buildup, and it's like nothing is really happening. And then all of a sudden it happens all at once. And then like the next day,
it was sunny.
It was sunny out.
Yeah.
It was great. Like the hurricane hit way earlier than they predicted it to. It hit at like 10, 11 o'clock at night.
But it started even before that.
It started to get weird.
At least here it was like mid-afternoon almost. It started to ramp up.
But then by the next morning, we were up and went for a walk at 7 o'clock, and
it looked like it hadn't rained in days. Like everything was bone dry.
Yeah. Now on the north side, I'm sure it was soaked and crazy, but yeah, like I want to buy a house not by a canal, not by a river, and it'd be awesome to have one of those that like is already 10 feet up.
Sure.
Like with the giant cement pillars and everything. That's why I wonder, there's that house that on the beach, when we go for our morning walk at the beach, that is like that. I wonder what they, if anything, dealt with, because their house is raised.
Is for Ian, like they still had to do repairs afterwards. Like the water was that high.
Yeah.
But granted, okay, so you got to repair some pillars in your landscape. Okay. It's like that was a whole first story of a house. So if you had stuff on there, like you're replacing a whole, you're replacing the whole thing.
Yeah. That's where I'm just like, yeah, I love the beach, but I do not want to be close to it here. I don't want to live on it. I don't want to be near water, period, because that's all of the stuff that rises in levels with. I mean, we see it when we get a heavy rain. All of the water levels here are raised up. And it's like, there's a house that we walk by that it's every time it heavy rains, that house has got to be flooded because it's in a low spot.
It's literally not by the water. Their property goes like this and their house is in the low spot.
Yeah. And then they're not by water. It's literally just water pools in that area. And it's just a heavy rain. It's like, I want to find high ground.
Well, that's what's awesome about this apartment complex is it's newer. So they built it elevated.
Yeah.
So even if like the pond was going to overflow like crazy, it would have to rise up.
And even the pond, it's like, that's not going to be affected by something like a hurricane with a storm surge.
No.
That's just all going to be rain.
Yeah. Which is the amount of rain that you would need to get. I mean.
Oh my God, it'd be insane. I mean, it rained like 2 or 3 days in a row before the hurricane for us here, which they said had nothing to do with the hurricane, which was unlucky. But that did not do anything to that pond.
Yeah. And that's what's terrible with the people that don't live here also, is they see, and I think it's so nice how many people reached out to us and are thinking and caring about us. I can see from their point of view how scary it could be, because for the first time they're now looking at the Florida like weather.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it looks like this on a regular Tuesday.
Yeah.
Like when you see the rain in the forecast of like the storm, and you see like heavy rain is white and yellow, and it's like, it's all a big mass of white and yellow. I'm like, well, every 3 p.m. that's what it looks like here.
Yeah.
Like, but why would you look at that? Why would you know? It's like, this is what it rains like on every day. But yeah. What is your thoughts on this? Because I backtracked it before I did, and I'm happy I backtracked it, but I'm like, maybe I'm thinking about this too much. For the baby classes on that day, the day before the hurricane, I had this idea to do a couple activities to like teach them about a hurricane. Like some kids would be the rain, some kids would be the wind. Like I had this whole thing, but then I ditched it because I was like, maybe some parents don't want them to know what that is. Is that one of those things where it's like that was like kind of COVID, like people were kind of telling their kids, and sometimes like they weren't being super detailed about it. I was like, is this too scary of a thing to talk about? Or
well, I noticed that when Amber Alerts went off while we were teaching, and kids were like, oh, lightning, and I'm like, it's not lightning. They're saying to evacuate right now. That's what those Amber Alerts are saying,
right? And that's where we're like, we're not going to say that though.
No. Yeah, I think you have to do it very, very skillfully if you're going to do it.
If it was my kids, I would explain it to them so that they, at least, to me, if you understand something, you can be less scared about it.
Yeah.
I think, I mean, even what we were just talking about, like you just hear it's scary. But if you understand what happens, even just the simple of what's involved in a hurricane, or like what actually happens, what causes it, what's,
Yeah. I think that's,
but
I think it's tricky because that could be something that is not necessarily your place to teach or discuss,
which is why I didn't.
Yeah, kind of like the COVID thing, like you said, of maybe that's not your place for it. So you're gonna get parents that maybe are gonna be upset that you did that. Again, I think if you do it like very smart, skillfully, and you have a really great plan and whatever, it can kind of be okay, but at the same time, that still might be weird. It's difficult though, because like we will say things or try to teach things and get life lessons across, and maybe we shouldn't be doing that either. It's like, but you think about you growing up and the teachers and the coaches and stuff that we've had, it's like, that's why they were great teachers and coaches, because they taught us more about life than they did the sport or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's
like we got the same lessons, and you were in football and I was in dance.
Yeah.
That's what every kid's supposed to get out of it.
I think about one of my coaches in particular. It's like I don't know, like you want to talk about somebody that just was born to educate kids and like teach them more. Like he was so good at teaching us sports and football and everything, but it was so much more about your character and how to hold yourself and how to act and whatever. I remember he was a referee of a football game one time, and I'd had him as a coach before this, but he was refereeing one of the games, and our guy like broke free and was running free for a touchdown. It was like 80 yards or something crazy. And I was running, probably 10, 15 yards behind him, because there was this kid that was chasing him. And I was running up to him and got right up next to the kid and then just laid the kid out. Our guy was gone and going to score. And he came up and just screamed at me. And it was like, I was pissed because I'm like, I have always been told to play to the whistle, play to the whistle. And I come down and make sure this guy's not going to catch him. He wasn't going to catch him, but it's like, I'm playing to the whistle. Like, what are you yelling at me about? And it's now I look back and I'm like, yeah, it's so unnecessary. And it's so more about character and just like, why did you have to do that? That had no bearing. And now this kid just gets decked for no reason.
That's like the kid. And it was always Tristan Woods. But like when you would throw a ball at someone and then he would always catch it and then throw it. It's like
he'd always like intercept it and then
it's like you're not needed here.
Yeah. You're not needed here. Yeah, so it was like, but it was just kind of stuff like that, and that's even a bad example, but I don't know, it's a funny story to me. But he was my coach, I mean, from early on all the way up until he was my high school football coach too. So it was like he was there the whole time. But if he didn't do the things that he did and what he tried to teach and what he tried to coach, like, I'm not the person that I am. A whole bunch of the people that also played under him aren't the people that they are. And there's probably really big reasons or a large percentage of those kids that are changed, and we're all different because of him and act differently and think differently and whatever. It's like, so you cannot tell him he can't teach the way that he thinks is right. But that's what's so difficult is you have teachers in really weird areas, let's say, that are teaching really weird stuff that they shouldn't be teaching. Mm-hmm. And they're thinking, well, I'm teaching what I need to be teaching. This is for the betterment of society. And like, I'm trying to raise good people and good whatever. And it's like, yeah, but it's like, how do you tell somebody you're correct in what you're teaching and then the next person, no, you're not correct, even though they feel the same way about it?
I think that, I think
you just have to really know what you're talking about or what you're teaching. It's like what I'm saying with this. If you're going to teach kids about hurricanes and try to get across to them that it's not something to be super afraid of, or not even afraid of, but like something to respect, but know your P's and Q's, know the data, know what's going on. I think you have to do it really well, because coaches try to do that too. They try to teach you life lessons, but they're just assholes. Yeah. And they don't know what they're talking about. You have to like really embody that and really know what you're talking about. And that comes with a ton of experience and all that kind of stuff. So I think you just have to really try to gauge, do I really know what I'm talking about here and what I'm discussing? And am I putting it across in a way that is positive and beneficial? Or am I just shooting from the hip and kind of like lazily throwing this out there? The people that are just like, well, you got to work hard if you want to make it anywhere. It's like, okay, yes, but you're being so weird about it and not educating. You're just like demanding and telling people what to do. I think there just has to be some skill in it.
I mean, that's why I think it's so awesome and so cool when you share stories like that of your coaches, because it makes me happy to know that people that are that good at that found their way to that. It's like that coach could have just been a cashier, or it could have been just like a banker.
Yeah.
And it's like the natural skill that person has, which is developed over time. Yeah. But I think there's like a natural ability to that, an understanding of that. It's like, that's so cool that those people ended up finding it, or that were put in positions where they could really adjust kids' lives because of that. That I think when you're an educator of children, and children meaning 0 to 18, I think the people that get a little funky with those kinds of things and what they're teaching, I don't know if they're the best educators, because, and I don't know, maybe this is just my very narrow-minded view of it, but I think if you are trying to push those narratives, you are not understanding children. I mean, it's like, I'm talking about the weather, and I'm still like, but should a 3-year-old know that?
Oh, right.
It's like, well, yeah, if you're 12, yeah, we can talk about the hurricanes because you're hearing your parents talk about it, but you might not get all the context. So how can I make you feel safe and comfortable about it when we're at dance and half of the kids aren't here and you're not having school tomorrow and you might not know what's going on? Sure, let's talk about it and let's like make it comfortable to be able to bring up questions and explore it in a way that's at your level. People that are pushing stuff that is so beyond what that age group should be thinking about, like, that's not an educator. That's not someone that cares about children. With that also being said, I think there are some lessons that are just timeless. That's what you can be teaching, but still with a sprinkle of, we're also dealing with the children of this age and dealing with the children of this, like, our parents in sports and the kids that they were are not the exact kids that we're working with now. Like, they're having different devices. They're having different sort of stimuluses. They're having different food, which is also affecting how they are. They are living in a different world. But I think the more that you can bring it back to the core timeless values, that's where you will move the needle as I don't want to say educator. That's not really.
Yeah, parent.
But it is, I guess.
Parent, teacher, anything. I mean, you're going to be around. Even
someone that is working with children.
Yeah, well, even bosses. I mean, it's like, look at what you just talked about with our boss of opening up the studio and having people there because she knows that they're not going to have places to go, school's done, all that kind of stuff. Like, that's a great leader and person that's leading by example. And it's like, we're not children. And we're going, hey, that's a really good idea. If that ever were to be a situation in our case, in the future or currently or whatever, yeah, look at what she's providing for the community and her even just her little community of the studio. But, it branches out and like it affects all the time. Mm-hmm. And I think, like you said, the ones that are true for like long periods of time. I think this is why it seems like there's more talk about it, or maybe I've just heard about it more now, of not seeing the Bible as so much of the, it's the religious part of it, but it's like, it's the stories of life lessons and how to carry yourself and how to live and that sort of stuff. Like there's good stuff within that. It's just used in these stories. And I mean, you get that through watching movies and through watching or reading books and all that kind of stuff. I mean, Harry Potter is fiction and not real, but there's still life lessons that you can learn in that, and they try to promote and teach within it and that sort of thing. And something that you would learn that you taught me too was like, which I think is where you're getting at with this, should I teach them about the hurricane stuff or not? Are they old enough? Is kids learn at a certain pace, or they should know things at certain times as they're growing up. So not trying to push them further ahead than their education and their ability and what they need to know. It's like, yeah, maybe a 3-year-old doesn't really need to know about hurricanes and what that is because it could be scary or dangerous or whatever. It's like they need to know how to share and how to like not scream and stuff like that. So, and I think we've talked about it before a little bit too, but going off of that, the parents and the teachers that are trying to teach these kids so much faster and further along than what their brain is really able to develop, and they're kind of trying to skip steps. Like, if you're a 2-year-old, you need to know 2-year-old things. Not, well, they're 2, but we're trying to get them to read at a 4th grade level, or we're trying to push them ahead so that they're better than all the other kids. It's like, you're not building a foundation, and they're not getting what they need to get at 2 years old because you're skipping that stuff. Like, they need to get really good at what they need to get at 2 years old. And then they have that good foundation. Then they go to 3 years old, and then they need to get what they need to get at 3, and then at 4. And they keep doing that. And I think that's true as we grow up. You see people that are ultra successful in their career, job, and whatever, but they have no social skills. It's like, well, you didn't learn that at the time you're supposed to learn that. Like, in school or at a younger age and build that and grow that. You just kind of isolated yourself and for some reason was only told to focus on career and what do you want to be when you grow up, and you need to focus on that and try and whatever. So I think going off of that, it's like maybe keeping that in mind of how old are they? Do they need to know about this stuff? Or the 12-year-olds, they can learn about that stuff and understand what's happening and what's going on and get the data from it. It's like, how much data are you going to be able to give a 3-year-old that they're going to be able to kind of piece together? Okay, well, hurricane spins this way, and that means that at the north end, it's pushing the surge away, and at the south end, it's doing all that kind of stuff.
I remember Carly talking about the kids when they were learning about like temperature, and they were going to go outside, and she was like, well, it's hot out. And one of them was like, so we should put our jackets on? Like they don't have the it's like, yeah, they don't have the concept of it's warm, so that means these things. That means I'm going to feel this. It means I'm going to maybe sweat, or that means we wear this because it's like better to have less clothes on. So that they're like, so it's hot and I feel this. Do I put a jacket on to feel cooler? Like they don't know.
They don't know the equation.
They don't know. So it's like, okay, now you take a 2-year-old that's barely has the concept of rain, period. And now you're like, and now this rain is going to flood your yard. Like, how scary. Now, every time it rains, they're going to think it's going to flood their yard.
Right.
But
that's where I think the timing is important.
Yeah. I think about that a lot with myself now, of how much, because I thought I was on my shit so much as a kid, and thinking back, I'm like, oh my gosh, like you missed so many marks. But you were 16. Like I think of some, like I remember one time which is so funny because I'm still having this issue now. I think I'm for sure some sort of dyslexic or something. But I read an email about like a rehearsal that I was supposed to have for this job, but it didn't say the date. It just said like on like tomorrow or whatever. It was like, tomorrow, this is where we're going to meet for rehearsal, blah, blah, blah. Well, I didn't read it until that day. So I thought it was on a Saturday. I thought it was on Sunday because I opened it on Saturday. And I'm like, well, it's going to be tomorrow. Great. We're all like on the same page. But it was like a change that it was supposed to be on Sunday, but then it switched to Saturday. But all in my head, I'm like, okay, it all matches up. It says tomorrow. I already think it's Sunday. Great. I missed the rehearsal. Now, of course, me also having the perfectionist at that time, me getting a text like, where are you? Oh, did I spiral? Did I spiral?
That's the worst message.
But back, like thinking about it now, it's like, okay, well, why wouldn't you check when the email came in? Why wouldn't you check the date? Why wouldn't you confirm, hey, just making sure? Whatever things that I would do now, I'm like, at 16, why would you not confirm those things? Like, well, yeah, because you didn't know. But my 16-year-old self was like, I missed a rehearsal. Now I am going to learn the entire thing so that next rehearsal, it's going to be like I was there. It's like, that's my 16-year-old brain being able to back myself up. But there were so many of those types of things where it's like, you didn't check this, you didn't check a schedule, you didn't confirm. Like, I wouldn't do that now.
Yeah.
But at 16, I don't think of those things.
Yeah. And that's where, I had a moment with one of the kids a couple weeks ago of, she just didn't have a good day. She didn't have a good day at school or whatever. And then she came in, she was being a problem the first half of the class. And I just told her, like, why don't you go sit down? Like, you're going to sit out at this point because you're being disruptive and disrespectful and all that kind of stuff. And when we kind of had a little bit of a break, we did like one more thing, and then it was, okay, go grab a drink of water. And I just went over to her and I'm like, what's going on? Like, why are you being so disrespectful? And just like, I kept telling her defiant.
You kept saying that.
And she was just like, I didn't have a good day. And I was like, okay, I understand that. It's like, but this is something that you need to know, is just because you didn't have a good day doesn't mean that you take it out on everybody else, that it's okay to be mean to everybody else and be defiant and be disrespectful. It's like, you have to, I said, Miss Courtney and I could have had a bad day too, but we don't come in and now
take it out on you
and be mean to you guys. We still come in and we try to be nice, and we try to teach you what we need to teach you, and, you know, whatever. And it's like, it's not that I'm trying to make her feel bad or belittle her or anything like that. It's like, she literally doesn't know that.
Right.
She's never been taught, oh, if I have a bad day, I can't be mean to other people because I had a bad day. Like, I have to figure out how to not be mean to other people. It's like, those things that you probably naturally picked up, or maybe somebody taught you and you learned, these kids and just people in general, whether they're, you know, she's what, 6 or 7?
Yeah, probably.
Versus a 12-year-old versus a, you know, 18 versus 25. It's like, people just don't learn things, and they need to know these things. And it's especially when they're that young. It's like, they don't know that they can't do that.
No.
It's like sharing. You teach kids how to share because
that's not innate in them.
No, of course it's not innate in them. They're like, I don't want to give this is mine. I'm not giving this to you. So it's like
survival of the fittest. That's how 3-year-olds are.
Yeah. They're the most selfish things on earth. And it's, you're literally teaching these kids how to not be selfish and how to become adjusted and whatever, but they literally don't know it. Just like you said, like, it's going to be hot out, so I put a jacket on. It's like, they don't know these things. And I think sometimes we just assume like they're just supposed to know maybe it's hot out, put a jacket on things. Like, we get, oh, they probably wouldn't know that. That's a thing they need to learn. But I think we sometimes assume, oh, just because you're being mean doesn't mean you can be mean to other people. They don't know that they can't be mean.
No.
Like, the emotional side of stuff. They don't know they don't know those things yet. So like, you literally that's where I think the good coaches and good teachers come in. It's like, they're teaching them how to emotionally adjust throughout the world and be somebody who's good to be around, fun to be around, and doesn't drain the whole situation. That's
where I think kids and activities is so important. It's maybe not crucial, but I think it's helpful in the state of, as a parent, you are at home with them and you're around maybe their siblings or like family members, but there's different rules, I think, that apply with that versus you're in a class with a bunch of other kids. Maybe when you're at home, it's like, yeah, okay, your sister's pissing you off, like, just leave her alone. You're going to have funky. It's like, no, you can't do that in a class with kids that aren't your family members or not your friends. Like, you have to adjust differently because you're in a social setting. It's like, you're not at home. You're in a different place that isn't your home with people that you don't know. Different rules apply to where, how do you teach that if you're not exposing them to that? That's like the second class, but that we also teach the third one, the same age. It's like, I'm dealing with middle school girls. So yeah, when they're at home and dealing with their siblings, they might be a little bit more bratty and snippy and whatever. Now, do I think that should be checked? Yes. But in a classroom where I am also a female teacher, which I think you handle it awesome, but like, no, I'm not going to go, well, they're girls. They're middle school girls. Like, no. Girls are like this and women are like this. The things that we all complain about with women, they are like that because no one is going, hey, that's not cool. With boys, when they're wrestling and running around and punching things and breaking things, we're like, you got to calm it down. Like, you have to be a civilized person in society. But yet women are just, they don't get checked on that stuff.
Yeah. Oh, you're a teenager.
Yeah, like, oh, you're sassy or you're manipulative or you're being a mean girl about that. No, check that. Stop being emotional. So it's like, as soon as something happens and a kid or girl cries in my class, no, you've done this obviously for too long that you feel comfortable enough to cry because someone didn't want to like kind of be your friend.
Yeah.
It's like, Someone said that they weren't going to be your best friend and you're crying. Nope. Or a couple girls in the class, like not like clearly being the bully, clearly being the mean girl, and just like doing the stupid stuff of like making fun of someone and like looking at them. It's like, I will be the first to call you out in that class.
Yeah.
Like, no, that's not acceptable behavior. But you at 12 to 14, this is behavior that is accepted typically because you're a girl of that age. But I see that as the older adult, or especially older female of that, and go, people are not going to like you. Friends aren't going to like you. Boys aren't going to like you. If that's what, like, this is not a trait that is innate in you that ends up working well.
No.
So we're going to cut it now. We have to stop doing that now. That I think even at certain ages, what are you facilitating that they can, again, at their age, grasp? A 3-year-old, right. I'm not going to be able to explain it in that way. They're not going to care about that. But a 12-year-old, and you say, you're not going to have friends if you act this way.
Yeah.
That's going to hurt them. I may not be able to go to them and say, hey, well, when you get older, if you are not a kind and easy person to be around, like, jobs are going to be hard for you. People are not going to want to work for you. You're going to always find yourself in problems at jobs because you're actually a hard person to work with because you're the mean girl. It's like, that doesn't stop when you're out of school. But to a 12-year-old, they're not going to care about that. It's going to go right over their head. So I think with coaches like that, where they move the needle is they know what's going to matter to them at that point.
Well, and that's where
they know how to motivate them with that.
My story with that coach that was being the ref for that game coming up and yelling at me, he didn't say it, but literally was like, don't be a dick. That's all the message was.
Yes.
And it was like, well, yeah, I guess I don't need to be a dick for no reason.
Right.
And it's like, okay, now you go off, and this is where I love the videos of the airlines kicking people off. Like, I'm all for these businesses just
taking back their
I don't
power.
like the way you fucking looked at me. Get out. Like, I'm so sick and tired of all these people. The customers always write bullshit. Like, you know what? No, we need to be done with that. This because these people are so entitled, and it's what you're talking about of they don't get checked when they're growing up. And now our society has molded around, well, people need to have boundaries and they're just sticking up for whatever. It's like, no, you know what? No, this is my business. Get out. Like, I'm not, if you're going to look at me the wrong way, you're gone. Don't come onto this plane.
Love doing that at airports. When we have a canceled flight or delay or something is wrong, I get so much like, yes. When I'm in line for the counter, when we all have to freaking change our flights and everything is fucked, and everyone in front of me is bitching at the lady, and I can go up and go, I know it's not your fault. Thank you for helping with everything that you're going to try to do and adjust. Like, you're not the airline. You're not the pilot. You're not the one that is whatever reason that we have. You're not the engineer of this plane. You're just checking us in. So I like being the one that's like, I'm going to be so nice to you, and whatever needs to happen, I'll figure it out because I'm an adult and that's my problem.
Yeah,
and most of the time, they're going to give me the best option.
Yeah.
Because they're like, thankfully, someone is finally being kind to us. Because when you're in that situation on the other end, it's like, yeah, you were an asshole. I want your day to suck.
Yeah, exactly.
What makes you think you're going to get the thing by being an asshole or bitch to that person?
It's like, that's just not how you should act or treat people. You can be frustrated. You can be upset. It's just like the teenage girl that's going through her teenage girl phase and all that kind of stuff. Like, it's expected and it's understandable that this is what happens. Like, emotions are running high and all this stuff is going on and the world is crazy to you, but that's where the guidance needs to happen. You need to learn how to be an adult and be a person that has respect for other people and other things and stuff like that. And just like, be smarter than it's like, you're being so dumb. You're yelling at the customer service person. They didn't cancel the flight. It's not their fault. It's something to do with that's out of their control completely. So now you're yelling at somebody that it has nothing to do with. And then people are like, well, who else am I going to yell at? you don't yell at anybody. That's the whole point.
Sometimes it just sucks.
Yeah, sometimes things don't happen in your favor, and that's fine. You have to deal with it. Like, you getting so emotional and so pissed about it and freaking out like that shows how little stability you have in yourself. If you're getting that pissed off about something that was out of your control, and yeah, it's frustrating because it's ruining your day or messing something up, but like,
they're not doing it just for a joke.
No.
Or just to screw you. It's like, most of the time, it's weather related, something wrong with the plane. It's like, you're really mad that they're trying to keep you safe?
Right. The thing
I get that it sucks, but also think of how fragile the system is. There is hundreds or thousands of flights.
Yeah.
All over the world. You don't think it's going to get messed up sometimes?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. And that's where it's like, these people don't get checked when they're younger. So then they continue to act like that and be like that. And now our society has, you know, everybody's got their camera out and it's like, look at this guy. He's, you know, whatever. And the person holding the camera somehow is the person that's in the right. It's like, no, you're being a dick and you're being the jerk about this because you're an emotional baby about it. It's like, that's right. I'm so for anytime a business kicks somebody out, I'm like, good for them. I don't care if the person was even in the right. It's like, we don't want you in a part of, this is our business. This is our establishment. We make the choices. And it's like, if you don't want to mess with them, then, hey, guess what? We live in a capitalist society. If everybody agrees with you and doesn't continue to go to that place,
then they'll go out of business.
Then they'll go out of business.
You win.
But who cares? It's like, if this place wants to be whatever, that's what I'm all for. I see all these airline videos of people freaking out and getting kicked off, and everybody's like, oh my gosh, United Airlines and blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, good for them. Like, I don't want this type of business. If you're going to come in here and be like this, or literally, I don't care. If I don't like the look of you. You wore sandals today? No, you can't get on. Sorry. Do you have shoes? All right. Next flight. It's like, I'm so for the businesses. People need to get checked.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's when we were coming out of COVID and Pat McAfee said, like, some people need to remember they can get punched in the face.
Yes. They kept putting videos of people getting hit, like getting in fights.
We were getting way too comfortable with saying whatever we wanted and doing whatever we wanted. We're also behind screens saying shitty things. It's like, remember when you said that in person? People punched you in the face.
Yep.
And rightfully.
That needs to...
Like, we need to be more scared of each other.
Yes, because there's
and for the right reasons.
There's no respect anymore.
Yeah.
That's where, like, the stuff that happens that, you know, they kept showing fights that were happening at sporting events because that's their, you know, that's their brand is sports. And him saying that, like, you got to remember, people are going to punch you in the face. Like, I hope literally nothing happens with this because now people will sue and then they'll do this and then they'll do that. And it's like, again, that just shows how big of a baby you are for suing. You're approaching this person and being a jerk and being an asshole, and then you get punched and now you're going to sue. Like, you're the child. Mm-hmm. Let's pivot out of this.
Okay.
This nicotine thing is not all what it's chalked up to be, I don't think. It's difficult because I don't think you're really supposed to feel the effects that much. Granted, you did, and it was
scary,
hilarious, but it's like I'm not noticing this. I feel like I'm really on top of stuff. So then it's like, I don't know what the point is.
I know I only had it in there for 2 minutes, so maybe I don't see the full effect of it. I don't think I could push past it. Like, if there is, maybe I would just need like so many less milligrams. Like, maybe that was too much. Like, is that the equivalent to 3 espresso shots? And I'm like, never have caffeine, and then I have 3 espresso. Like, you know, was that what I did?
Sure.
But to me, it just felt like you were drunk, not like I'm dialed in and focused like coffee.
I think that's.
I'm like, this would make me less productive.
Yeah, that's what's so weird with how you kind of responded or reacted to it. I don't feel that ever.
If that's how people feel, I get why people that are sober from alcohol crank up on the cigarettes.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, it's a version of feeling drunk.
Yeah.
Or it's maybe just another vice, but I'm like, that felt like when I get too drunk.
That's so
weird. And I got
weird.
it in 2 minutes.
Yeah, that's so weird.
Like if you watch, I don't think you edited it that way, but if you watch that episode with Abby, I'm like chugging my protein shake. I'm just like, I need to get something in my system other than this because I almost was like, guys, I have to stop and go puke.
Oh, that's so weird.
I was just in my chair like, keep it together, keep it together. It was not good.
Yeah. Yeah, I've had it 3 times now, and it gets easier to deal with each time. Obviously, I think you just are getting used to it. But the initial like 5 minutes is always just crazy to me. Like it's like you kept saying it was spicy. It's like, yeah, it's almost like hurts the tongue and the throat a little. And then like the last 2 times I've just been getting crazy hiccups for like 2 or 3 minutes, and then it goes away. But it's better afterwards. It really the only thing I like about it is just something to do. Like I just like having.
Ugh, it's the best.
I like that's why I like having coffee.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I like really anything, drinks at night or any of that sort of stuff. Like if I didn't know how bad cigarettes were for you, like I would
chain smoke.
I would be smoking all the time.
Oh my God, me too.
It's just so fun.
Me too.
It's just something to do, and it's just so fun.
Yep.
So it's like I think that's. I mean, obviously nicotine's an addictive chemical or whatever, so there's that for sure. But every time I've thought about doing it, so since we've had it, every day I'm like, should I put one in? Should I put one in? And I'm sure that's some of the nicotine, but there's a large part of it too that is like I want something to do and to like have in my mouth and all of that kind of stuff. Like it's just fun to be doing something. Yeah. But I don't feel the like I'm so much more on top of stuff and on top of my game and whatever. Like I wanted to get it and start doing it for these podcasts to see like an experiment of like, oh, do I feel like I'm a little bit more enhanced and more into it or more whatever. So I guess comment, do you think I've been on top of my shit the last 2 podcasts? But I'm going to go through the whole tin because I think there's also that you need to give it enough time to see. But as of right now, I'm like, this isn't doing anything for me other than like it's fun to have something to do.
So make sure Rogan, that needs to be pinpoint. I don't have my notes to mark down what I'm going to say, but I wonder like someone like my dad who that's like he's probably so like your tolerance. Like what does he feel?
Oh, like, sure.
Because like I'll drink coffee and energy drinks. Like when on the usual weekends, me and Abby would wake up like while we're getting ready, brushing our teeth, cracking open an energy drink, a 300 milligram of caffeine while we're getting ready. And then later in the day, going and getting 3 shots of espresso. That was a usual just to like get through the day. For some people, that would push them over the edge. But for me, that would be just maintenance. So is it maintenance for them? Like what is their maintenance feel? Like is it just like a little, oh, I feel like I have something, but it's not like where I'm spinning.
Well, you've felt like there's clearly some sort of effect that is happening that makes you feel different.
So, and it's crazy how fast.
Yeah. So I think like, and then you consider that with caffeine as well. I think so much of it comes to if you then don't have it, you now are like dragging butt. It's like it's now, well, I didn't have caffeine today and I just like, I'm
sad.
I'm lethargic. I don't have the energy or whatever because you're so used to having it. I mean, it's like that's what this people who smoke cigarettes, the people who drink, any of the things that you're just doing all the time. I mean, even working out. It's like if we don't work out or get activity, our mood is weird and different. Now that's a different thing because it's not substances. There's still a chemical thing that's happening when we work out and the dopamine and all that kind of stuff. So there's something different that's happening. But when you're talking about like nicotine or cigarettes or alcohol, chewing tobacco, all that kind of stuff, caffeine, it's like you're putting something in your body to affect you. Yeah. So now when you've done it for so long, I think it's more of if you don't do it, you feel weird. It's now become a maintenance, and this is my normal state of being, having 300 milligrams of caffeine in me and, you know, all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. So I think it's like, it's more of the coming off where you feel weird. This is just the maintenance now.
How good does a cup of pre-workout sound right now? Oh my God. Getting back into this bodybuilding stuff, I'm just like back into my old days. That, just thinking of that.
Yeah,
I'm like craving blue raz all of a sudden.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like the nostalgia.
You know what I wonder that I need to do more research on? Because I don't know. Maybe this is common knowledge to everybody else, but then I also need to get back to my Rogan thing. So you can't drink caffeine when you're pregnant, or you're not supposed to drink like a lot of it while you're pregnant. Do you still have to do that after if you're breastfeeding? My guess would be yes, you shouldn't drink it.
That's
because then it gets into the milk.
Yeah.
So then you're like, are you caffeinating your kids, your baby, and that's why they don't sleep?
Yeah. I mean, some of that stuff is so funny because it's like, yeah, you go like common sense route of it, like you just did. Well, if I'm still feeding my child and it's from me, what I put inside my body is going to be broken down and created into whatever I'm giving them. So it's like, if I'm not supposed to have caffeine, alcohol, all this stuff, I probably shouldn't be giving it to them. I also think some of that stuff is so funny because, sure, there's clear, yeah, you shouldn't have alcohol. That's bad for you. But when you start talking about things that are beneficial for you and they're telling you to cut that out, it's like, that starts to seem weird to me. The caffeine I can understand because it changes.
Well, think of like that stimulant on a baby.
Right.
That's way too much.
Yeah. I totally get that. I just think it's hilarious that it's like, no, you're not supposed to have coffee, or there's some weird things too where it's like,
you can't have lunch meat. You can't have
that.
Which is like, hey, don't be doing that anyways.
Well, yeah, that I understand.
You can,
but it's like also
you can't have lunch meat, but you can have McDonald's.
Yeah, that's what they should be telling. Don't eat bad.
Yeah.
But they go to like, don't have caffeine. It's like, okay, that somewhat makes sense if it's just too much of a stimulus, but they can go to McDonald's and eat quarter pounders every meal, and that's...
Or if soda that has caffeine
totally
in
fine.
it.
Yeah. Yeah, what do they say about soda? Because that is caffeine.
I don't know.
They say you can't have coffee, but I don't know. I don't know either. If it's...
I don't know.
They don't... Maybe they just say don't have caffeine. Which is also hilarious because then it's like... So they just go get Diet Cokes?
But yeah, I don't know. Because I know with, and this is so like, whatever. But I know with alcohol, you can get like test strips to see if it's in the milk. I wonder if they have that for caffeine.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because to me, it's like, you're probably, I mean, it's so, some people might not even care and whatever. And some people might be more specific about it. But like, even that you're not supposed to feed them, like if you pump, you're not supposed to have them have milk that you pumped in the morning before bed, and vice versa, because your milk naturally creates like an energy, like a chemical balance of what will wake them up, to where if you pump at night and then you feed them that in the morning, your body produces melatonin in the milk at night. Like it follows your circadian rhythm and your cycle. So if you're having caffeine and then it's going through the milk, are you giving your kid coffee basically?
Little espressos?
Yeah. And like, are they, you know what I'm saying? That's so random. I don't know why I want to look into that. But what I was going to say with the Rogan thing, you saying like, have I been noticing that I'm like, are people noticing that you're more dialed in or whatever?
Oh,
I don't know. I think my common sense obvious knows the answer to this, but what would people say? So watching you on this, like, and watching clips, and now that I post it, I know you to be a very low energy, monotone person. But then watching it also, I'm like, you are sleeping when you talk. Is that, like, obviously for general entertainment listening purposes, boring. But to a certain degree, do people like that? It's like when I MC, it's like people like, your voice is so calming. It's not the voice that I'm talking with right now. So if you're like, your voice is trash, what are you talking about? I use a different voice. So is it calming to people because you're very just low energy? I'd be curious if people think it's boring or they like it because it's you.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. What does that have to do with Rogan? Because
this is also what I was thinking about. I don't know how to say this to where it doesn't sound stupid, but I think what I'm playing around with a little bit more is the idea of not all rules apply to everything. This is where it gets to Rogan. We're talking a lot about with our channel, like how to make things look appealing and look exciting and the thumbnails to look a certain way, and you put a lot of time and focus into that. And then you go to Rogan. It's like, it is just a basic ass still shot of the one guest. It's like his visuals are not even that good. Like, he has overhead fluorescent lighting. Like, it's not great to look at. And then his thumbnail is just that person. Not even a good quality picture. I think some people would say, oh, well, Rogan does that, so we can do that, or we should do that. Like, do whatever he does. Like, well, but that rule doesn't necessarily apply to everything. He maybe can do that and is allowed to not put that much effort in because he has built up so much of everything else that he can go a little bit lackluster on the other things. But then there are some cases and some instances where you should go, well, what did he do? So now I'm going to replicate.
Yeah. Well,
that it's not just a one rule for everything.
Yes, I agree. I think we see it all the time. Name anything and you have people that they do it and they get successful at it, and then somebody does it a different way and they're also successful at it. It's like there's not one way to skin a cat. So it's like, I think you just always should maybe look at that thing and go, okay, I like that they're doing that. Now, how do I put it through my, like, the filter of me? How do I like that they do that. Can I apply it? What ways can I apply that? Or maybe I can't, because that's not who we are, what we do, whatever. Like, I care so much about the visuals and want things to look good and be colorful and like be aesthetically pleasing to the eye and all that kind of stuff, which is interesting because I don't care about that or think about that when I'm watching any of the people that I'm watching, really. It's like, I care about what they're talking about and the content and who they are. And it's like, when I watch Rogan, I'm not like, if I think about it, I'm like, yeah, it looks kind of not the most appealing. Like, they could probably make it a touch more appealing, but
okay, but even as that rule, you don't look at the visual of it, but then the information or what they're talking about has to make up for the lack of visual. To where there's some other podcasts that we listen to where it's like, if this looked shitty, I don't know if we would listen. Like, I don't know if we would watch it. How many people that they do it on a Zoom and we're like, we're not even going to watch that episode.
Well, right. And I think that is probably one of the most extreme examples is I won't watch it if it's on a Zoom. I think a lot of it does end up coming down more to what's being talked about. Like, it could be the most aesthetically pleasing thing. If I don't care what they're talking about, I'm not going to continue to listen.
Sure.
So, I think that's the bread and butter, and what you should be probably the most focused on and trying to do the best at is what you're talking about interesting or appealing or whatever. And I think it's the hardest filter to always go through is this us? Is this what we want to talk about? Are we interested in this? Is this what we care about? I think that's why Rogan and all these other people are as successful as they are in this space is because they just do what they're interested in and what they want to do. At least the people that I think have the longevity in it and, you know, maybe have the most returning viewers and people always watching and stuff. You're going to get the people that are a little bit fake and liars and are just getting the clicks, but I don't know if they have the longevity. But like, I don't know. I think there's things that you care about and things that you want. You know, you also watch Rogan though, and anytime somebody's a little bit away from the mic, he's always telling them to bring the mic to him. So he really cares about the audio. So it's like, maybe he doesn't care so much about the visual. He's like, people are mostly listening to it anyways. They're not even watching it.
Maybe he knows his audience that way.
But it's like,
more people watch this than listen to it.
Yeah. And they won't listen if you're 10 feet away from the mic and nobody can hear you. Or like when he has multiple guests on, he always wants them to wear headphones so that people aren't talking over each other. Like he's very on the audio, it seems like, but the visual he doesn't care about. To where like I care about the audio, but I probably care about the visual more. I'm spending so much more time on the visuals than I am the audios. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's like if I cared so much about the audio, I'd be soundproofing this room because it would make the audio way better. But
which eventually that would be cool to do. If we got a separate room like we did in Texas. Yeah. Where we have a separate room. Yeah. That'd be easy to do.
I think it'd make the audio that much better. Like,
fix it up.
Yeah. But I care so much more about the visual. But it is. You watch other people's stuff and you go, oh, I like the way that looks. I want to make ours look like that or sound like that or whatever. And I think that stuff is important, but ultimately I think it does come down to the content, because there's going to be a lot of people that just put it in their ear and the visual now is completely canceled out. Yeah. Like they're not watching it at all. They're working or they're doing something and it's in their ear. Well, that's where it does, okay, how's the audio? Can you barely hear them or is it crappy? And then it's the content. Yeah. I think it mostly comes down to that. Is your stuff interesting to listen to and do people want to hear what you're talking about? And then I think how you figure that out is, well, what do we want to talk about? And what are we interested in and like talking about? And maybe what are we somewhat knowledgeable about that we can give something somewhat different than what other people are, or whatever it might be. But it's like, if you're talking about stuff that you just don't care about, like I just don't care about, I don't know, hammers. Like I'm not going to talk about hammers with people.
Well, I think that's why, I don't know, like it sucks with the algorithm because it helps if you kind of have consistency within stuff, to where we're on this little mini fitness chunk for a while. And anytime we do that, views go up and people become more interested. And I think it's just, that is our bread and butter. Sure. Sort of thing, that sometimes we don't want to talk about that all the time. But when we're in a lane of that and we get excited, it's like you even said, like in those last couple episodes, you can see the enthusiasm, because like I love talking about that. I love diving deep into those topics. I love those conversations with you, especially because I feel like I learn so much, and it's just awesome to where you can sense that through the conversation. Like you can see that in how we're talking. Like you can tell, oh, she likes what she's saying. Yeah. That if you can just keep that with every episode and with every conversation, it shows through. It does. Like I don't think you can fake it very well. Yeah. Yeah. Well, and again, that's why I think you have to try to talk about what you're interested in, what you actually want to talk about, because like you said, it'll naturally show through then. And yeah, I don't always want to talk about fitness stuff. I want to talk about everything. Yeah. Just like whatever is going on or whatever I'm noticing and that sort of stuff. That, yeah, I don't know. I think that's where I don't know if disagreed is the right word, but we've gone back and forth on with this. Of like, I feel like I'm like, I want to just get on and shoot the shit. I don't want to have so many things planned out. And this is what we're talking about. And this is like, I think to have somewhat of a general idea of what we're going to talk about is good, but you're a little bit more,
wanting it to be topic based. This is what we're talking about. These are the planning it out type of stuff. I'm just like, I don't know. I just want to get on and have a conversation and then get off. Because I think that's where I feel like I'm like, well, I'm just going to talk about what I'm interested in that. To where if we're topic based and it's like, let's talk about this and then this and that, I'm like, I'm not interested in like 2 out of 3 of those.
Sure. And that's where I think it can go both ways. It's just how we communicate. How we communicate, but also how we live. Like, I am not interested in that many things. So I'm like, I'm not going to be able to just shoot the shit and come up with things that I'm interested in. It's like, it's going to be the same stuff.
Yeah.
It's like, that's why I'm not good at being fun or being like a cool person to hang out with. Cause just like, I'm not going to be able to sound enthusiastic about most topics. I can hold a conversation. I'm not like, don't talk about that. I don't like it.
Yeah.
I'll still do it, but I'm not going to have the same enthusiasm that you can see when I like something. Like, I just don't have that many shoot the shit. Oh, well, this would be cool to talk about a movie. It's like, I don't care about the movies. I don't care about the shows. I don't care about current event type things. It's like, but I will talk about your football coach for an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Just how awesome that is. But I don't have that many wing it things.
Yeah.
But you're better at that. Most people are good at that. Being able to just hold a conversation with that stuff.
I don't know if most. I don't know. But yeah, that's how I like to. Yeah, like I don't know. That's what I like to do.
That's
just
where
like
I'm
sit
bad
down and
with podcasting. Is I do better if we talk about one topic for a very long time, which is typically how we communicate. Like when we go on our hour and a half walk, sometimes we'll touch on 2 topics.
Yeah.
And we'll just like explore every route of that topic.
Yeah, they kind of mold and shift into different things, but
man, if you don't like that topic, that's going to be a shitty episode to listen to.
Yeah.
You're like, that's all you're getting.
Yeah, well, and I mean, that's where it's like I don't watch every single Rogan or I don't watch every single Chris Williamson. It's like the person that they have on, I'm just not interested in that stuff and what they're talking about.
Yeah.
And that's fine. But I don't know, like I think that's the whole nature of this thing that's why our views change on every single thing we ever put out, because sometimes you hit something that more people are interested in, so they'll listen, and sometimes it's less and they don't care about it. And I think that's just like the nature of the thing. And I think you have to, as the person creating the stuff, I don't know, the way I see it is just, in order for us to continue to do this and enjoy it, we have to talk about and do the things that we want to do. We can't do the things where we know they're going to get clicks. Yeah, it's going to get clicks and do all that kind of stuff, because I just don't think there's longevity in that. And like, we're not going to want to continue to do it then. I know I'm not going to want to continue to do it if we're always trying to go viral and click this thing and that thing. I think that's why we've chosen to do podcasts too. Out of all the stuff that we could do, we like this because we like having a conversation and talking about things for a long period of time. Like I don't have any interest in, like the vlogs can be fun to watch to me because it's people that I like, but I don't want to go, that's not my personality. I don't want to go.
No.
I don't want to go film and do that and like that.
It's like, imagine this tone, but talking about his day.
Yeah.
That's what it would be.
Yeah. It's not going to be fun for anybody. Yeah. And that's what I think, kind of like what you said. Do people enjoy that? I don't know. I mean, my guess would be some people are so bored with it. And then there's other people that are like, no, I like that it's chill and calm and whatever. So again, it's this is where I think we have to be us, and then the people that like us will come. It's like, I'm not going to change and try to get clicks and go viral and do all this stuff to, I'm not going to talk about hot topic things just to be able to put it in a title and try to get clicks on it. Like, am I actually interested in that thing?
Sure.
It's like, then I'll talk about it. I just don't think there's longevity in that. I don't think there's integrity in that. Like, I don't like the idea of being a YouTube person that's just like blowing in the wind with whatever's going on. It's like,
well, that's even with social media. Like, I like posting, and I've been getting into it more of posting the fitness stuff just because that's what we've been talking about. So we have more content about that. But I struggle with the just posting like little clips that aren't giving any education. I think for some stuff, it's okay to just throw it out there and it's a cool little clip and whatever, and people are going to like it. But with something like that, where I care so much about it, it's hard for me to like even doing an exercise video, like I'm explaining an exercise or just showing an exercise. I don't like speeding it up or slowing it down to make it look good. Cause I'm like, but the education is in how I'm doing it and the tempo of how I'm doing it. And you can see where I'm controlling it and where I'm releasing. Like, I want it to be and not to sound like douchey about it, but the integrity for me is so high with that. That's like, I don't care if it's going to look less appealing and less cool. The few less people, but the few people that will watch it, they will at least get something from it versus just seeing me do something.
Yeah. Well, and that's where I wouldn't ever bend that just because it's the popular thing to do, or that's what people are wanting. That's why it took me so long to do the shorts and to do even the clips now. Cause I'm like, no, I want people to watch the whole podcast. There's so much context and there's so much us talking about things and explaining things. Like, I want that to be put across, but I'm just seeing the shorts and the clips now as promotion to try to go to the podcast.
And that's what I'm seeing with the social media stuff too, is if this clip of me working out and I'm doing it in a more aesthetically pleasing way and not an educational way, if that's what gets more people to see the educational stuff, okay.
And I think that's a fine line to deal with.
It is.
Because
yes. That can't be all you're posting.
Yeah. And I think, like you said, the integrity part of it, or just like, you don't want to be misleading people of, well, they put this short out and they were doing this workout or this thing, and that's like not actually what we believe in or do, or yes. I don't know. I'm just trying to come up with any weird random example.
Well, it's like when I was at one of the marketing trips and Eric wanted to film me working out, and he's like, "Well, do this, and this, because it would look cool in the video." It would look cool in the video, but I'm like, but if I'm going to post this, I'm not going to use those parts. Because
I don't ever do those exercises.
I would never do this. I would never suggest this. I wouldn't program it in this way of doing those things with this. That, yeah, the video would look cool, but I'm going to sacrifice my integrity with this topic.
Yeah.
By showing something that I would never do just because it looks cool.
That's where unless it's going to.
Which is why it's so hard to. And why I want to do the one project with you, but it's hard to do content sometimes with the fitness stuff, because it's like, I want to film even some of the stuff that we're doing right now, but it will be on the more boring side, because like, you're only going to see me do the moves that you all know. Like, It's not going to be this weird standing on one foot and holding, like, it is going to be just a regular shoulder press, a regular chest press, a regular squat.
Yeah.
It's not going to be something that you look at and go, what the heck exercise is that? You're going to know what it is.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's where, like you said earlier, it's few people may watch it, but those few people are hopefully going to get something out of it, because you're not bending the integrity to do, the ropes that looks really cool on video and, burpees or something, whatever, stuff that you never do, but just looks good. It's like, you may not get the viewership, but to me, that's the whole name of this game, is like, if you want a longevity in it and a channel in it, and coming from somebody that hasn't had any of that, but it's just what it seems to be. And I think it's important to do what you think is right and what you should be doing, even if you haven't gotten to the levels yet. But it's like, I don't want this to get a lot of views if we're not having integrity with it. Like, that would be it's like, how many child actors or how many stories do you have to hear of people that are not ready for stuff, or they're not themselves, and how depressed and damaged they are because they put on this facade, or they lied about who they were the whole time, and then it comes out, it's like that person wasn't happy the whole time because they were lying. It's like, yeah, I don't want to do that. It's like the Ellen thing. She's telling everybody to be nice or whatever, and then it turns out she's actually an asshole. It's like, well, no, I'd rather just be the asshole and people
sure.
follow me or like me for that. It's like, I don't want the whole backside reveal of, well, did you know that they're actually terrible people? It's like, no, I'm going to tell you what I think and believe about this stuff, and then I'm going to try to show you how that works and what to do and all that kind of, like, I don't know. It's the Midwest. It's like, there's just,
it honestly
it's just integrity and not wanting to mislead anybody. Like, I just don't want to do that. And if that means that we stay at 95 subscribers for the rest of time, it's like, then those 95 people hopefully are getting a whole bunch of cool shit out of it.
Yeah.
It's like, we don't make any money off this right now, and we probably won't for a long time. So it's like, we're doing this for free because we feel like, I don't know, maybe we're just bored and we want something to do, and something to feel important about. But it's like, we're doing that and we're doing it now. So what's the difference if we do it 5 years from now and it's the same thing? Like,
I mean, besides the selfish reasons that I have with this of, I want to get better at communicating. I want to get better at like continuing my education with things and having a reason for that. Not just, well, just learn this stuff to learn it. It's like, I want to be able to deliver the information because that holds me accountable. But the reason we started it forever ago now was we hear so much random information about stuff that the only way to combat that is to push out more of the correct information. It was more say like with fitness and that kind of stuff. That's how it started. That now, if I'm going to post something that gives the wrong context and it just to get more views, I know it's going to get more views. I know on my Instagram, I know I could post all of my Thrive videos for the baby program. It's like, that is information dense. Is it going to get less attraction right away as me posting a swimsuit picture on the beach? Like, I know what that's going to do. I know that people are going to like it. I know that people are going to, you can see that they're going to save it. They're going to share it, whatever. It's like, this gets nothing. But that's what my thing has been for so long, that it's going to take a long time for this thing to start to become the main thing. That now if I go and post what's going to look good in a workout video, but doesn't give any education, now I'm just a part of that thing that I'm trying to combat over here. I'm putting out the bad information. But yeah, is it going to slow down who's looking at it and who's liking it? And like, the reason for posting it is to give information. I'm not going to reach as many people as a swimsuit picture. I know that. But slowly, hopefully that starts to shift. And more people are coming to us or coming to those things for the education, that I'd rather have the longevity in that, even if it's not as cool right away.
Yeah, well,
because I was like, we're doing the exact thing. We're doing the thing that we were trying to combat in the first place.
Yeah, totally. And I think you have to, like, we try to play the game a little bit, but staying within the integrity, what it is.
Yeah.
It's like, I do the shorts now, and I didn't want to do them because it's like, I want people to listen to the long form thing, but I try to do that for promotion. And then it's like, okay, well, I'm doing the shorts. Let's try to pick things that are catchy and a little bit more interesting or grab people. But it's not like it's not like I'm using stuff or do it because, I mean, for one, like the whole podcast, there's not going to be things that we're like super controversial about and being crazy about. But even within the shorts, I'm not grabbing stuff and like piecing something together that makes us say something that we're not actually saying, and just to get views and all that kind of, like, I'm not playing that game. But sure, I'm gonna edit it in a little bit of a way that's like cutting the fat out and making it more like the nicotine one with you. It's like there's
so funny to me.
So much space in between all of that, but it's funnier. It just like quick cutting to you going like, I don't taste anything. It's spicy. I don't taste anything. It's spicy. Like that's funnier, and people are gonna think that's funny or want to watch that over me posting the whole thing where it's like you're just kind of sitting there not really doing anything. But like the time in between you saying, I don't taste anything, to this is spicy was like a minute, or a minute and a half. It's like it wasn't that quick, but it's like, you got to play the game a little bit.
Sure.
Just like the thumbnails, you got to play the game a little bit. You got to put things up that people are going to click on. But the idea is what you actually made the thumbnail be or the title of it be is what you're talking about. And it's like, I've made mistakes with that a couple times where it's kind of what we talk about it in 10 minutes in or 15 minutes in, and it's for 2 seconds. And it's like, people don't like that it's, oh, I thought this whole thing was going to be about, and it turns out you just said 2 things about it.
Right.
And then moved on. It's like if we put in this one, like something about Rogan or whatever. It's like, well, you talked about it for 10 seconds and it's at the very end of the podcast.
Yeah.
Like that, people are like, well, they don't even talk about what they title it, so I don't want to pay attention to that.
Sure.
So it's like, okay, I had to learn that and now adjust that and make sure the titles and all that is talking about what we're actually talking about, and hopefully more so at the beginning so it meets the expectation type of thing. But like, I'm not going to come to you with ideas of what to talk about and be like, so this is what's really popular in the news right now or whatever he's talking about. Let's talk about this stuff. It's like, we don't care about any of that. And honestly, we probably think it's stupid. And we would probably go into like, everybody stop listening to this stuff. It's all dumb. It's all stupid. It's just making people too emotional, whatever. Like, do this instead. But
I I make that intentional with my personal social media, at least. Like, you're never gonna see a post about like a current thing that's happened. Like, I didn't post about the hurricane. I didn't post about like, I'm not gonna post about things that could have an opinion about. I don't want it to be like, and not that I think that's bad if people do that. I don't want to have to, for my integrity, just me personally, I want to be educated about something if it's like that where it might be a this side or this side, and I don't want to have to take the time to educate myself. So I just don't want to be one of those people that's going to post about it, because then you have to post about it for everything. Or like, I would rather just make it seem like I don't know what's going on at all times.
Yeah. Well, and I think you like yours or my version of posting about it a lot of times is us doing a podcast and talking about things. It's not making an Instagram post about the hurricane or whatever. It's like, we'll talk about it on the podcast. Yeah. But
yeah, I've been really liking the fitness stuff. I think a positive about at least that on even social media, like we do get a different type of pull when we post stuff like that. Even on social media we do that. I think a positive of that it shows that there's still such an interest in that topic for people. Yeah. And not like, oh, it's cool because then they look at our stuff, but it's cool that many people care about fitness and care about learning about that. And
yeah, and I think there's probably some of it too that it can show us like, oh, we maybe are better talking about that stuff than other things.
Yeah.
Because like, people will listen and watch anything. I mean, it's like Carrie telling us about that freaking live stream chicken thing. It's like there's millions of people just watching chickens eat food.
Yeah.
Just all day long.
Yeah.
Like, people will watch anything. It's just, I don't know. It's like, and I think some of it is that we're still such a new channel that we're not getting pushed out to people probably. So it's like, people don't even know we exist.
Right.
That
there's another Eavesdrop podcast. That's like way bigger.
Yeah. That like, it's like we probably just haven't been doing it long enough to reach people that, you also don't know if this person did listen or come across us, maybe they would like it, and then they would be a subscriber and they'd start listening and all that kind of stuff. So I think some of it's just you know, you're a business that hasn't reached people yet.
Yeah.
Certain people yet.
Yeah.
It's like you got to do it long enough and get enough experience and get word of mouth and get people talking about it, subscribing, liking, so it gets pushed out, that you then are reaching other people to gauge whether or not you have good content or good anything anyways. You know, like, yeah, I don't know. I think it's all just so, you could get so caught up in the weeds of it, and it's like, just post stuff. Like, just
post what aligns with your integrity, post what you like, post what you're interested in that time.
Yeah, that's all that I'm trying to do now. And I'm even trying to like come back a little bit from thinking what people will like, because I'm always wrong.
Always.
The episodes or the podcasts that I'm like, or even the clips or the shorts that I'm like, oh, I can't wait for this one to go out. Like, people are going to love this one. And it gets no traction. And then the one that I'm like loosely put together, I'm not that interested in, whatever. And then that one does well. And it's like, you just never know. That's like, as long as it's staying within your integrity, I'm like, well, we'll see how this one does. Like, put this together and post this. And
you really don't even know what it's going to be attracted for. Like, my Thrive stuff, I'm doing all of this for, in my head, like, the whole training is for teachers. But yet, on social media, all of the people that are, like, saving it, they're, like, moms.
Yeah.
Which is still so awesome to me. It's like, cool, I'm still helping people work with children. Like, who cares who it is? But it's like, I'm not making it for that. But that's who's liking it, and that's who's, like, interacting with it and utilizing the information. So, okay, who cares? Even if it's the fitness things, maybe it's not people that are beginner and we're educating them. It's like, maybe it's people that they have a pretty broad understanding and this is just sharpening their tools a little bit. Okay, who cares?
Yeah. Yeah, you're never going to know, and you can't pick your market. It's like, those people are just...
No, it's more like, okay, listen to what your market is.
Yeah, a little... I don't know. I mean...
Not to adjust what you're doing, but...
Yeah.
Like...
Yeah. That's kind of what I was getting stuck on, was like, well, I don't want to change what I'm going to talk about or do, but you can start to figure out who is listening. So then it's like, you talking about the Thrive stuff. It's like, okay, maybe I can bring up a little bit more parent examples than I was before, so that it can connect to those people a little bit more. But yeah,
and it just shows, like, maybe where there's a lack in the market. Like, I mean, I'm surprised the amount of traction that I'm getting with those on some platforms. It's like, people just really want to know how to be with their, like, help their kids more. Like, a lot of the ones that get traction is like how to help with emotional stuff with your kids, or how to build habits, or how to whatever. It's like, okay, I wouldn't think that most people would care about that or listen to someone that I look like. It's like, I don't look like someone that has much experience in that. Like, I hope people don't think I look old, but maybe they do. But even that with, like, the fitness stuff, maybe it is more people that are further along, but yet we're going, like, it's only people that are just starting out, so we really have to cater to that and only talk about beginner stuff. It's like, well, maybe there's people that are like, no, I need to sharpen my tools, and, like, I want the next 2% better. Okay, well, maybe we can talk about that and enjoy that if that's what we decide that is interesting to us at that time. But
yeah, well, one of the last clips I put out that has gotten a lot more traction than we usually do is, like, what experienced lifters do. Yeah. So, like, usually we're trying to talk to people that are, like,
the average person
need to, well, not even average person, but, like, people who aren't exercising and aren't doing stuff. And it's like, how do we get you to get going? And then it's like, the one that seems to take off more than the other ones is like, I've been doing fitness stuff for 15 years. Now what do I do? And it's like, oh, I guess there's people that need to know that too. And it's like we haven't paid enough attention to that potentially.
Yeah. But yeah. Just whatever we're interested in.
Yeah.
I have been enjoying the fitness phase. Phase.
Yeah. I like it too. I like all of it.
Yeah. Well, I don't like all of it, but I like most of the stuff. I like what we talked about today.
That's good.
We wrap it up.
Probably should do it at the top, but like and subscribe if you haven't.
Subscribe more than anything. Especially if you like it, that's definitely awesome. I think I hate when people do this just because, actually, I don't hate when other people do it. I just feel so silly doing it for us.
It's tough to ask
for
things.
It's so surprising, even us as viewers, how many people we watch religiously and like, we don't subscribe to their channel. We don't like anything that they do. It's like, it doesn't do anything as the viewer to do it.
No, it's free for you to click a button. That's all you have to do.
Helpful for other people. That, please.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in the same boat. It's like it's so easy to click the button, and yet for some reason we don't.
Yeah.
It's like, just if you do it, it's super helpful.
Yes, so please do it. Please do it. I'm begging you.
I'm begging you. All right. See you later.
See you later.